So Dandavat again, Dandavat Maharaj and Shamasakhi Dandavat. It's nice to see all of you here. And today we will have a different type of lecture, because today will not be my lecture. Today will be lectures by the other devotees. And maybe Sakirati, would you like to begin?
Of course.
I try to keep it to about 10 minutes so that we will have time then for everybody.
Okay. So thank you so much for this unwanted opportunity. And I will chant the Mangala Charan that we usually chant Sri Chaitanya Sangha. I shared the file on the chat, so if you want to read it, is page, I think 8 and 9 from the PDF. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakchuru Militam Jnana Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Siddhanto Parasara Nitya Sam Vilasatmakam Audarya Sudama Sevakadanam Vishvam Babakti Pradam Yaksha Yukti Vichatranantra Gabido Vaishishta Shaktya Sada Vandeham Tripurari Namakayatim Shri Bhakti Vedantinam Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Swami Shri Bhakti Vedanta Prabhupadayate Namaha Guru Vagyam Shri Rasri Tvitam Shaktya Vesha Svarupine Hare Krishna Ti Mantrena Paschatra Prachatarine Vishvacharya Prabhayaya Devya Karunya Murtaye Shri Bhagavata Madhurya Gita Jnana Pradayine Gaura Shri Rupa Siddhanta Sarasvati Nitshevine Radha Krishna Paramboja Bringaya Gurave Namaha Devam Devyotaram Suchandravaranam Balarka Chilanchitam Sandrananda Puran Sadeka Varanan Vairagya Vidyam Buddhim Shri Siddhanta Nidin Subhakti Lasitam Sarasvatanam Varam Vande Tam Shupadam Madeka Sharanam Yashishvaram Shritaram Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Thank you and welcome all of you. Here are many. And yeah, so I was thinking like, oh, what can I talk about? I don't know anything enough to talk about. So I was thinking on a very, very beautiful verse that I really love to hear, that Nitai Das, he's a Swedish guru that I know since many years. He has an ashram in Radhakund. And he always chants this verse like before, after, during chanting, before the classes. And it's Harer Nam, Harer Nam, Harer Nam, Eva Kevalam, Kalao, Nasteva, 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 Gatir, Anyata. And it's a verse that Mahaprabhu has quoted from Brihan Naradya Purana, when Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya asked him how to perform bhakti in now. and it says just by chanting the holy name. So I remember that I gave a class some years ago in Sofia about chanting japa, and I thought, so I can listen to that and just take something nicely said, and then I will just repeat it. So I listened to the class, and I really didn't like it. It sounded like 6-year-old girl talking about quantum physics to high school people. So I will spare from this experience. But instead, I'm cooking very nicely, and Bhrigupada say that every one of us knows how to do at least something. And so I will talk about cooking prasadam. And I will not talk about the rules and regulations. For that, you can listen to Padmanabha Maharaj series about the Vaisnava etiquettes. But I can share with you some small cooking secrets that I have because we are all cooking for Krishna. So I don't want to have any secrets. We should all cook very wonderfully for him. So first of all, usually not always, but I try always to remember to chant the Pranamantra for Radharani. Tattva Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye, and try to get in the mood of service, which is sometimes easy, sometimes very hard. And like when I was in Madhuvan and I cooked for Guru Maharaj, when he was there, it was always very much different than when he's not there, even though I'm trying to cook for him and for the deities, because I have the deities at home. But when like Guru Maharaj is there, I definitely put like way more attention and love, and I try to cook what he really likes. But in my home, I can't really just cook what Guru Maharaj likes all the time. So what I do instead, I'm cooking for Shamananda, who is my husband, who is very dear to Guru Maharaj, and he's a great devotee. So I try to put all the love I have in preparing the food, knowing that it's for Krishna, but because my mind needs some setup, like realistic setup in front of me, then I always think putting a lot of love and care for Vaishnava that lives with me. That said, something more practical. Like I like very much to try new recipe, try new things, and there is a kind of rule, let's say, or secret, or however you want to call it, where that I always keep in mind while cooking, which is that every dish I cook has to have a round taste in your mouth. What that means? That means that we have to satisfy all the taste buds are called. Like, yeah, thank you. So even if I cook sweet, I will put a little bit of salt and a little bit of sour. And when I cook salty, also I put a little bit of sweetener, a little bit of chili powder or Italian black pepper, which is very hot. And this gives a very round and complete taste, always with some nice fat also in order to absorb and fulfill all your mouth. And of course, with the experience, you will learn where to put more of something or less of something else. And like the sour taste doesn't have to be lemon, for example, like tomatoes are also sour. So if you put tomatoes, then you can consider that sour satisfied in your mouth. And talking about tomatoes and other vegetables too, I always season the vegetables I use or ingredients I use separately. So if I do a sabji, I don't put like at the end or whenever salt for all the ingredients together. Like if I do a sabji with eggplants, zucchini, and tomatoes, the eggplant needs a little bit more cook time than the zucchini. So I start with the eggplants, where I always put a little bit of sweetener because it's exaltating the taste of eggplants, and rosemary also. Then I add zucchini, where I add oregano, and paprika powder spice, because it's very, very good. And then whenever I use tomatoes, I always marinate them first, separately from anything else, with olive oil, a touch of vinegar, oregano, salt, black pepper, and that's it. Yes. And usually I marinate at least for 20 minutes, but usually it's way longer. Like it's usually the first thing I do before cooking. So it can stay there even a couple of hours. And then I add them at the end. When you cook vegetables also, in order to not lose all the water that is inside, I put salt, like not at the end, but around 3/4 of the cooking time. And what else? If you're cooking like Italian pizza or focaccia or nice bread, we usually always add the fat part, which can be oil, usually olive oil for Italian dishes, always at the end, after the dough has, I don't have the English word for that, but after 15-20 minutes, the flour start changing the chemical things inside. I don't know how to say in English, but yeah, after 15-20 minutes that the dough is made, then we add the fat part. And yeah, these are the things that I wanted to share. I think I spoke for 10 minutes. Is that correct? Can you say it? Yeah. So I thank all of you. I hope every one of you will cook with a lot of love for Guru Maharaj or whoever devotee you love and it's near to you. And thank you. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhuvya cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Sakyarati Dasiki Jai. Thank you very much for this. Let's give some appreciations. Karen, say something.
Yeah. No, it was very interesting. Actually, I learned a lot. So and it's funny because I just ate before I came, and I want to go make some more food now. But no, I really like your personality shines through very beautifully. And it had a very nice personal touch because of, so I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. And one more thing, maybe Maharaja, do you want to give one appreciation?
Oh yeah, I learned a lot from that class. That was really good. I really appreciate all the details, and I never even thought of half of the things, and I definitely didn't do it the way you said. So I'm going to try all those things. That was so good. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you want to go next, Maharaja?
Okay, I can do that. Okay, so I'll try to keep it at 10 minutes. Om Gyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Vistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadamayam Vedanti Svapadantikam. I offer my respectful obeisances to my spiritual master, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and my Shiksha Gurus, Tripurari Swami and Padmanabha Swami. And my appreciation and obeisances to Bhrigupada Prabhu for helping me to have the courage to do this. This is my third class in 50 years. So hopefully everyone will be kind to me. But I'm not afraid because I'm in this Sangha now. So I think I can do this. So I'm going to speak today on Bhrigupada's request, or just suggestion about Srinivasacharya and Ramachandra Thakur. So Srinivasacharya one day was sitting by his pond near his house, and he saw a wedding party pass by, and the bridegroom was so beautiful. He had extraordinary beauty, like lotus eyes and golden colored skin, just so many beautiful features. And he said out loud, he said, such a person should be serving Krishna, otherwise his life is useless. And Ramachandra was that person, and he overheard Srinivas. So we stayed a night at this Brahmin's house, and then the next morning he went to Srinivas and he told him, he offered his obeisances, and he said, I couldn't help thinking about everything you said last night, about what you said last night, so I wanted to come and meet you. And Srinivas related to him that in his past life, or before, they were close associates, and that they were now meeting again after a long time. So he initiated him in the Krishna Nam, and he sang Krishna's Leelas to him, and he gave him Vaisnava literature, and he told him he would be a lover of Radha and Krishna, and he would be very close with Narottam. He would meet Narottam in Vrindavan, and he said that Narottam and him were one soul, and they were Param Bhagavats. And so Srinivas, he was married, and he had 2 wives, 3 sons, and 1 daughter, Hemalata. And Hemalata had, and this book is by, I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you the name of the book. It's called Karanananda, and it's by Yadunandan Das. And Yadunanda was told all about Ramachandra by Hemalata, the daughter of Srinivas. So one of the wives that I'll be mentioning a lot is Ishwari Thakurani. His other wife was Gauranga Priya. And he had 3 sons and 1 daughter. And so Srinivas is famous for his journey to Purushottama with the Goswami's books. And when he was trying to deliver the books, some bandits sent by the king had thought that he had some, well, they delivered this to the king, but they thought he had some special jewels and treasures, so they stole his packages. And when the king got them, he noticed they were spiritual books, so he just kept them and felt kind of bad that he did that. And then Srinivas got word that the king had the books, so he went to the king, and he was outside the king's palace. He was outside the room that the king was in, and he heard a Brahmin reciting the Puranas, and he also heard him reciting the Brahmara Gita, and he noticed that it was pretty defective. So he went inside and he mentioned to the king, he corrected the Brahmin's mistakes to the king, and the king loved what Srinivas was saying, and he was correcting him on the Goswami's conclusion. So the king loved everything, and he went and offered his obeisances to Srinivas and asked for his blessings. And he also got initiated by Srinivas. His name, he was King Sri Virahamvira, but Srinivas named him Krishna. And he also initiated his wife, who really wanted to take shelter of Srinivas as well. And yes, when Hemlata was telling Srinivas about Ramachandra, I forgot to mention this, she said that he was full of love and kindness, and he was a psychiatrist, and he was very grave. And then one day, Srinivas was glorifying Krishna, and his wives were thinking, they were sitting by him, and they were thinking how fortunate they were to have such an attractive and exalted husband. And as he was saying his pastimes, speaking these pastimes of Krishna, he went into an ecstatic trance, and he fell on the ground, and he started calling out Sri Gaurachandra, Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, Gopal Bhatta Goswami. And then he fell into a really deep meditation, and his breathing actually looked like it had stopped. And it looked like his breathing had stopped, and there was no quivering in his belly, and they just thought, what's going on with him? The wives were suffering so much. They were rolling on the ground and feeling so much sadness, and so what happened was he was in deep meditation, and he was meditating on Radha and Krishna's pastimes in the water, and he was looking at, Srinivas was seeing all the beautiful gopis, and they were decorating Krishna with special ornaments, and they were splashing each other in the water, and Sri Lavanga Manjari and Sri Rupa Manjari and Sri Guna Manjari and Sri Rati Manjari were standing on the bank, and they were watching all these pastimes. And Srinivas was enchanted by the gopis' beauty and their sweet talks and the water fights. And at that time, he saw Krishna steal their garments, and they had to go rescue their garments. And Radharani, she was, after she dressed, she lost her nose stud, but nobody noticed. And then they all went into the Kunjavana. I don't know if I'm saying it right, Kunjavana. And in there, Vrinda was giving fruits and flowers and special prasadam and sweets to all the gopis. And then they noticed, oh, Radha's nose ring is lost. And so Sri Rupa Manjari and Guna Manjari, who's Gopal Bhatta Goswami, they winked at Sri Mani Manjari, and that's Srinivas. And they said, they told her, go look for that nose stud, because she was good at finding Radha's lost articles. And so, but when she went out there, she couldn't find it. She didn't know where it was. So that's why Srinivas was in this deep meditation, and he didn't come out for 3 days. And so and they were just going, the wives were just going mad, like, this is terrible. But then Ishwari, she calmed down a bit because she remembered something. And then everyone said, "You're calming down. What's going on? You must know something." And she said, "Yes, I remember that Srinivas told us that Ramachandra knew everything about him. And I had a dream recently that he was coming today." And as soon as she said that, he walked in the door and he told them that he was going to go into meditation with Srinivas, and that after 2 hours, if he didn't come back, then you should chant in his ear. So meanwhile, everyone just chanted, and he put this cloth over both of them. And Ramachandra went into meditation with Srinivas, and he knew where the nose stud was. So he told Srinivas, it's under a lotus leaf, and it fell on Radha and Krishna's feet. And they, when they stepped away, it went under a lotus leaf. So he went to get it, and he brought it to Mani Manjari, Srinivas, and they both ran to Radharani and returned the nose set, and she was overjoyed. And she gave Srinivas Acharya some betel leaves that they had chewed, her and Krishna. And so he wrapped them in his dhoti. And so then after a couple hours, the wives chanted loudly in Srinivas's ear, and he came back to consciousness, and so did Ramachandra. And she wanted to know what went on. Well, first Srinivas and Ramachandra went and spoke in private some more about what they just experienced. And then Ishwari wanted to know more, so she asked Srinivas if he could tell her what happened, and so he did. And he brought Ramachandra and Srinivas to a separate room, and he gave them some of these betel leaves because he had brought them back with him. And so she had so much respect for Ramachandra, and there's a lot more. There's a few more things to say, but I don't want to go past my time. And I did want to say that the king also had come when Srinivas was not coming back, and his disciples, and they were all worried. But the king, Srinivas, told Ramachandra that he should help the king to have love for Krishna. So Ramachandra just always instructed the king about what to do as a Vaishnava and how to be as a devotee. And then him and his wife became, first-class devotees, and they always worshiped the Vaishnavas. And so that's, I guess that's about all I should say. I think I've already done my 10 minutes, but it was a wonderful giving my class, even though it's new for me. Vancha kalpatarubhasya kripasinabhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Thank you so much for being such a kind audience. I wasn't even scared for the first time ever.
Thank you so much for this, Maharha. This was beautiful.
Thank you.
This was absolutely beautiful, and so much feeling, and you were so beautiful when you were telling this story. It was wonderful. Any other appreciations? Maybe Namarasana, do you want to say something?
Okay. I really love it. It was really, really beautiful stories about Srinivas, and I'm always it's so nice to listen some stories about great personalities, because we can see their devotion, their authentic personality, their love, and it increases definitely increase our faith. Yes. So I think it's very important to listen to such a story, because the philosophy is living entity, yeah, in this situation, that we really feel this emotion and we really feel this people, this person. So when Maharaj Devi told us the story, yes, I really feel this kind of emotion which she really tried to give us a little bit. So I really like this. And I also very much like Sakyarati presentation, because Sakyarati has told us about something which she's really expert, yes, because she's really good cooker. And I think it's very important in the beginning to talk about the things which you are really feel comfortable, yes. And yeah, I taste her prasadam, and it's not only about that it's good food, but you really could feel her devotion. She just puts her heart when she's cooking. So it was really very, very nice presentation also.
Thank you, Rasana. Maharaj Devi ki jai. Maybe Gornarayan, do you want to go next?
Sure, I can go. Can you all hear me? Okay. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So I wanted to speak about Bhaktivinoda Thakur's wife, because, well, they're kind of the only couple in our lineage. I guess everyone else is sannyasis. So I thought it would be interesting to talk about them, their relationship, and, well, her specifically. So he actually married twice. His first wife was named Shamini, and they were married as children. He was 12 and she was 5. And it was pretty common to be married, or for children to be married back then. They would use astrology to figure out if they were a match, and then they would marry them, and then they'd move in together when they were adults. But she became sick when she was like 16 and passed away, and like almost a year after giving birth to their first child. And he was pretty sick at the time, and his mother was old, so they had trouble raising that child. So it's described in the 7th Goswami book that he prayed to God for help. And while he was praying, he was getting a conception of God that was both impersonal and personal, and he couldn't understand how you could have both. But then 2 months later, he remarried, and to somebody named Lalita, who was the daughter of Ganyamanya Roy from the village of Jakpur. And she later was given the name Srimati Bhagavati Devi. And I don't know if she was initiated, or it doesn't say who her guru was in the book. I couldn't find information. But it's described that she was a sincere Vaishnavi, noble character, very peaceful and accomplished with everything they did, or everything she did. And they had 13 children together and had a good relationship and were very close. There's not a whole lot of mentions of her, what she did. Usually it's just in relation to Bhaktivinoda Thakur, just like he went to this place and she came with him, or he went to this place and she didn't go with him. And mentions of when they had children, like one time she gave birth to a son who died a month later, and then her father died a few days after that, and that was a difficult time. And he waited, it said that he waited to tell her that her father died until she had a few days to process or deal with the grief of losing her son. And so he waited till she seemed recovered enough that she could handle that as well. And then there's, of course, there's the story where there was some yogi named Bisakusen who was pretending to be Vishnu, saying he was Mahavishnu, and he had like this whole temple built for him somewhere out in the country, and had a bunch of followers, and he had some yogic powers, and he was gonna like start an army to kill or destroy the British and kill the king and everything. And so Bhaktivinoda Thakur was sent with some police to arrest him. And it's a long story, but basically when he brought him back, he was put in jail before he was brought to court, and the yogi was threatening Bhaktivinoda, I'm going to destroy everything. you know, you have, or everything you hold dear. And he's like, just go home and see. And so when Bhaktivinoda Thakur came home, his daughter was extremely sick, but he was like, I don't care. Like, they brought some doctors and she was fine that evening. But Bhagavati was worried about safety of their family. So she was pleading with him to just, you know, just let him go before he destroys our family. And he responded, yes, let us all die, but this rascal must be punished. And then after the Bishakashen was convicted, somebody came up and just cut all his hair off, and then he lost all his power and no one was sick anymore after that. Yeah, because everyone was getting sick before that, even Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Then there was a mention of, there's the chief secretary of Bengal, Sir William Duke, used to visit, and Bhagavati would feed him a lunch of puri, luchi, which is, as far as I could find, was puris made of all-purpose flour instead of whole wheat. She would also feed him sweets, and said that Bhaktivinoda Thakur never took formal sannyas. He did take Babaji and lived in seclusion. So later in his life, he took Babaji and lived in seclusion away from his wife and family. Yeah, so, but they were together for a very long time, very close. And there was a mention of Bhaktivinoda Thakur asked her to place their son Bimal Prasad in front of Jagannath, and the garland fell from Jagannath onto him. And they both never let their children eat anything that wasn't prasad. And then I saw a blog post somewhere that mentioned she likely chanted 64 rounds every day, because you can see there's a picture of her where she has counting beads and it shows that she had 48 complete out of 64 or something. But I couldn't find that picture anywhere, so I don't know where what they're referencing. But I did find a couple pictures of her I can put in the chat. See, yeah, the first one is their family. I think she's on the right. I don't know if she's middle right or top right on this one. But yeah, that was everything I could find. It was kind of hard to find much information on her. Yeah, that was everything. I don't know if anyone has anything else on that. Most of my information just came from the Seventh Goswami book.
Thank you, Gaurnarayan Prabhu.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. This was super interesting, and she's the kind of person that we hear sometimes kind of mentioned together with Bhaktivinoda, but it was so nice to get that you collected this information that you were able to find. Does anybody have anything to add? Maybe somebody knows something more that Gaurnarayan Prabhu didn't find for this presentation.
There's this is Swami Ashram. There's one thing that Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur shared. This was in Mula Prakriti's book, our Srila Prabhupada, Friend to All. This was a story recounted by Nayanananda Das Babaji, who I briefly met one day on the Parikram Marg in Navadvip in 1980. And this was after the devotees had returned from Europe, and Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada had gathered a large group of his disciples together. I don't remember the occasion now. I'd have to look. But he said that, you know, we made this effort and it didn't bear the fruit we had hoped. He said, but the thing is, on her deathbed, my mother, this is a Bengali mother, you can imagine how her son felt this. On her deathbed, my mother reminded me of my father's instruction to take Krishna consciousness outside the boundaries of India. So he was feeling the weight of this, you know, and then he said, so we weren't very successful this time, but I will tell you this, the next one of my disciples who crosses the ocean will bring the entire world back with him. And when he said that, he was looking, Nayanananda Das Babaji said he was looking directly at his friend Abhay Babu, our Srila Prabhupada. So he was feeling the weight of this like deathbed instruction from his mother, and who was simply sharing, reminding him of the instruction that he had gotten from his father and spiritual master, Bhaktivinoda Thakur. She sounds like she was a powerful Vaishnavi indeed. Thank you. I really loved Gaur Narayan's presentation. It was really nice to see a young man telling us about a Vaishnavi, one of our moms.
Thank you. Thanks for adding that too.
Thank you, Maharaj, for adding this and for that. Maybe Sakyarati, do you want to say something about Gaur Narayan's presentation?
Yeah, it was lovely, really, really nice. Also the thought you had before, like that you decided to speak about her, it was very thoughtful and beautiful. And yeah, when you came to Madhavan and we meet, I was thinking, maybe it would be interesting to hear something, because you're a devotee since your birth. So it was very beautiful to hear from you. Thank you.
Gaur Narayan Prabhu ki jai. Thank you very much for this. Next will be Radha Madhava Dasi, who will speak in Spanish. So Kali Jugapavana Prabhu will be translating into English. And let's see if we can make this work technically also. So it might take a little while before we figure it out.
Hare Krishna. ¿Ahí me escuchan? Sí.
Now we're still hearing the Spanish, we can't hear the English.
Okay. Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Jutapa Gamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavancha Sri Rupa Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tasa Jivam Sadvaitam Savavam Parijan Sahitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Evam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakam Vitam Cham Namam Vishnupada Krishna Prestaya Utale Srimate Bhaktika Tulananda Acharya Iti Namine Pranamami Gurudeva Padam Dati Prabhupada Saram Kavi Kirtan Gaurava Vaje Vaje Janme Janme Nama Krishna Parama Prestaya Patita Vatsalatmane Vimala Tattvairatma Harunayate Namaha Namo Mahayaya Krishna Prema Prayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Nanda Gaura Tise Namaha Namo Ramanya Evanya Gaura Manahitaya Jagat Hitraya Krishnaya Gundaya Namo Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Inavandu Jagatpate Gopesha Diga Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tabata Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavanes Varivrisa Vanusuti Devi Pranamami Hari Prija Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Sri Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Buenos días a todas y a todos. Yo estoy un poco nerviosa. Pero pues el tema que decidí tocar hoy, como brevemente, es el concepto de vayan, y decidí tocarlo como por un interés personal, y es que en general desde que yo vivía en el templo se hablaba de vayan como un momento donde los devotos se encontraban a cantar como de una forma muy tranquila, y también sí. Está bien. Ok. Y también se habla de vayan como un ejercicio de adoración a Krishna, sí, como muy ligado con el archana. Entonces como que me surgía un poco la pregunta, porque también había escuchado como de devotos mayores, em, de mi propio guru y de otros devotos, que teníamos que el vayan era un poco como una meditación, ¿sí? E instalar como una especie de teatro en nuestro corazón, ¿sí? Donde meditar en los pasatiempos de Radha y Krishna. Entonces, por esa razón fue que elegí ese tema, espero que no sea algo muy pretencioso. Em, Básicamente, em, para poder explicar esto, me basé en el prólogo que hace Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati a la edición en bengalí del libro de Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur del Sri Vajan Rajasya y algunas partecitas del Vajan Rajasya porque no me lo he leído completo, más algunas explicaciones de preguntas que le he hecho a algunos devotos como mi Gurudeva. Entonces, pues inicialmente Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati dice como que normalmente se confunde y se suele confundir el vayan con la adoración o el archana, porque a los devotos neófitos se nos ha dado ese método como para acercarnos a Krishna. ¿Mm? Pero dicho acercamiento es muy externo y parte de la adoración reverencial, ¿sí? Y no de una relación íntima con Dios, que es el objetivo que nosotros tenemos dentro de Gaudiya Vaisnava, que es tener una relación con Radha y Krishna, que si bien es cierto, como dice Srila Rupa Goswami, dentro de las 9 ramas de la devoción, que son Sravana, Kirtan, Smarana, Padasevana, Bandhana, Dasya, Saka y Atmanivedana, todo eso hace parte del Vayan. En sí mismo son como formas de hacer Vayan parcial, ¿sí? Pero que nosotros tenemos que aspirar a un Vayan completo, es decir, a una meditación que busque intimidad, una relación íntima con Radha y Krishna. Parte del énfasis también que hace Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur y Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati es que cuando nosotros realizamos archana, ¿sí? De una forma reverencial, nos mantenemos, por ejemplo, muy apegados a la material, al cuerpo material, y dicha adoración se mantiene dentro de los cuerpos burdo y sutil. Mientras que en el Vayan, que es una realización de un seva con intimidad, hay un sentimiento de posesión, ¿sí? Que se llama Vishvambara Seva. Entonces, para lograr hacer un vayan completo, se debe se debe intentar estar absorto en Radha y Krishna 24 horas al día. Por eso, justamente el libro del Sri Vajan Rajasya está dividido, ¿sí? En los 8 llamas, ¿sí? Que están identificados a su vez con los 8 pares de nombres de Krishna en el Mahamantra, con el Siksastakam y con ciertas realizaciones que se exponen a lo largo, por ejemplo, del Siksastakam, ¿no? Para llegar a Prema. Por ejemplo, Swami Tripurari, Srila Tripurari, en el Siksastakam, que fue como una de las influencias que tuve para decidir abordar este libro, pues para pedir permiso y leer este libro, nos habla de cómo en el primer verso se recogen como todo el proceso por el que atravesamos hasta poder desarrollar Prema, y así cada uno de los versos nos va guiando a ese momento, ¿sí? Entonces, em, justamente pues la idea de poder hablar de un vayan interno pasa porque nosotros podamos descubrir los secretos íntimos del vayan, que es un poco lo que pues el nombre en sí mismo dice en este libro Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Dice que los secretos íntimos están ocultos en cada llama. Si en llamas son como preceptos éticos, también acá se dividen en 8 partes como momentos del día. Entonces el primer llama, ¿sí? Va de 3:30 am a 6 de la mañana, el segundo de 6 a 8:30 y así sucesivamente más o menos con hora y media de diferencia, salvo en otros momentos del día. Entonces creo que no va a alcanzar a abordarlos todos como para profundizar en esos puntos, pero por ejemplo en el primer llama, bueno, y también se invita a que cada uno de esos momentos del día representan unos ciertos pasatiempos entre Radha y Krishna, ¿sí? Y es menester como que nosotros los tengamos en mente. Eso dice, por ejemplo, Srila Narayan, y yo en algún momento le pregunté a mi guru sobre eso porque creo, pues porque no me quedaba muy claro si sencillamente era como meditar en esos pasatiempos, en esos momentos del día, y él habla un poco de manas y seva, y es como nosotros lo que sí podemos hacer es intentar recordar dichos pasatiempos para que en nuestros momentos del día podamos realizar nuestros distintos sevas, ¿sí? Ya sean como cuestiones físicas, ¿sí? O también en la meditación profunda a Radha Krishna. Entonces, por ejemplo, en el primer llama que se llama Pratamayama Sadhana, se llama Nishanta Vayan, y lo que se habla ahí principalmente es de Sraddha, que ya sabemos que es como el primer paso para nosotros poder acercarnos a Dios, y es tener fe. Y la fe, como decía Swami Tripurari, es como algo que llega como por misericordia, es una revelación, no es algo que logremos nosotros porque tenemos los medios para lograr fe, sino que la misericordia de algún devoto nos permite tener Sraddha. Ese momento va de 3:30 am a 6 am y corresponde al primer par de versos, que es el Hare Krishna, ¿sí? Entonces se habla que el canto del santo nombre con fe destruye la ignorancia y limpia el espejo del corazón, ¿no? Entonces, como igual se habla en el Siksastakam de Srila Tripurari, entonces está el Shetodarpana Marjanam, ¿sí? Y como vemos, igual en ese primer verso se desglosan el resto de versos. Entonces siempre, por ejemplo, el resto de llamas va a corresponder a una parte del primer verso y a un verso en sí mismo, del Siksastakam. Hablo de esto como parte importante para entender qué es el Vayan, porque igual les va a acabar el tiempo y no alcanzo a abordarlos todos. Es porque ahí nosotros, uno, vamos entendiendo cuál es nuestro lugar real en el proceso, ¿sí? Porque es importante comprender en qué momento estamos para esforzarnos, o sea, no creer que estamos más arriba, ni tampoco bajo una idea de ego falso y de falsa humildad, creer que estamos más abajo. Hay que situarnos conscientemente en el nivel en el cual nosotros estamos, ¿sí? Y porque también es importante retomar estas relaciones, porque son todo el proceso que se nos ha brindado para que podamos realizar el proceso de llegar a desarrollar prema o activo amor puro por Sri Sri Radha y Krishna. Entonces, por eso es como importante revisar cada una de estas partes, porque nos está diciendo qué hacer y cómo hacerlo, ¿no? O sea, no solo en Sri Vayan Rajasya, sino por ejemplo en el Siksastakam de Srila Tripurari, nos están diciendo, ¿no? Cada cosa como debe ser, o sea, el fuego que nos extingue, porque surge de nuestros deseos materiales, que solo se extingue con él por misericordia de Dios, etcétera. Entonces nos va explicando realmente cómo todo es el proceso, ¿no? Cómo nos vamos purificando, cómo vamos desarrollando más gusto por el santo nombre de Krishna, etcétera. No, pues yo tenía como explicación un poco más de cada uno de los llamas, pero voy a terminar con una cita y una pequeña cosita sobre el Manasaseva, que es como, pues según la instrucción de mi gurú, el nivel en el cual yo podría participar para ir desarrollando un vayan, ¿no? O sea, como cada vez un servicio real y directo a Radha y Krishna. Entonces, la cita dice, el vayan también es el servicio de lo que debe ser servido, vayanilla tatua. Aunque el concepto de eso que debe ser servido encuentra un lugar en los corazones de los hombres en muchas formas diferentes, siendo la revelación de la forma de eso, lo que debe ser servido es el puro corazón limpio, es el mismo Señor, Nanda Nandan Krishna, el Aquila Rasamrita Murti, la encarnación del néctar de todos los razas. Y pues eso, para finalizar, como pensar en que si uno revisa las biografías de los grandes acharyas, se habla mucho de que ellos realizaban manasa o manasiseo, que era siempre estar pensando, no importa en el lugar en el que estés, o sea, pensando como nuestra vida pues, moderna, que es andar de un lado para otro haciendo mil cosas, como incluso cualquier cosa que nos toque comprar en la calle, una fruta y tal, mentalmente ofrecerla primero en el corazón, eso es hacer un seva, ¿sí? En algún aspecto fortalece nuestro vayan, que es nuestra meditación en Krishna, en que no sea completamente pura, y nos permite como tener una relación más directa con Dios sin pensar que solo en lo externo y en el murti o en ciertas cosas, pues es posible hacer eso. Hare Krishna y Vanchakalpa Tarivyacha Kripa Sindhuyadevacha Patitanam Panavyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Radhamada Dasi Radhamada Dasi ki jai. Maybe Shamananda, do you want to give some appreciation?
Yes. thank you for the class, Radha Madhava, and for the translation, Kali Yuga Pavana. Yes, this is. Thank you for the reminder about the 8 periods of the day and its connections with the stages of bhakti, and it's like nice to hear that you're excited about these things and wanting to my Guru Maharaj is saying that we should try to put this in practice as much as we can. Like, it may not be very much, but like you say, like, you kind of try to get into it, and then you see where you're at, and you do it as much as is possible for you. So thank you for the reminder of this.
I also liked this class very, very much, and I really loved how you had prepared for this, and you had picked up out the quote, and also the way how enthusiastically you were explaining, which didn't make it easy for Kali Yuga Pavana Prabhu to translate, but it was very enlivening just to see you speak and imagine all the kind of things that perhaps which weren't picked up in the translation, but that flowed from your heart. So this was very beautiful. I appreciated it very much. Now, I'm a really bad person in many, many ways. And one way is that I remember I asked the people who have been speaking already to speak. But did I also ask somebody else?
Govinda Mohini, I think.
Oh, yes. Yes. Please forgive me, Govinda Mohini. Would you like to speak next?
Jai, buenas tardes. ¿Me escucha bien? ¿Me escuchan? Jai, buenas tardes. ¿Me escuchan? Bueno, voy a empezar con los pranams. Om Manyanati Mirandasya Janyanjana Shalakaya Shaksurum Militan Shasmai Bhrigurave Namaha Panchakalpatarubhyacha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Nam Pranamyo Vaishnavyo Namaha Jayatam Suyatotam Kurma Mama Mama Verati Matsarva Papadam Radhamadamo Vindaya Tulasi Devi Preyaya Kesavasya Krishna Bhakti Devi Satyavati Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gaura Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Bueno, buenas tardes a todos donde se encuentren. Bueno, muy agradecida por permitirme este momento. Quería resaltar la importancia del capítulo 4, verso 34 del Bhagavad Gita, donde Krishna nos habla de la importancia de recibir las bendiciones de un guru, de lo que es tener a un guru en nuestra vida, de lo que representa un guru. Y bueno, Krishna habla muy enfáticamente en este verso y le dice a Arjuna, Tad vidhi pranipatema pariprasnena sevaya upadekshanti jnanam jnaninas tatva Dakshinatha. El significado es: tan solo trata de aprender la verdad aprendiendo a un maestro espiritual. Hazle preguntas de modo sumiso y préstale servicio. Las almas autorrealizadas pueden impartirte este conocimiento porque han visto la verdad. Bueno, en este verso Krishna nos aconseja seguir a un maestro espiritual para poder acercarnos a la verdad absoluta. Nos dice que los videntes de la verdad pueden impartirnos este conocimiento porque han tenido la experiencia directa de este conocimiento en su corazón. En este verso se condenan tanto la adhesión ciega como las preguntas absurdas. Uno debe acercarse a conocer la verdad, y la adhesión ciega muchas veces es una especie de fanatismo que nos impide acercarnos a la verdad. Y las preguntas absurdas o preguntas mundanas no son adecuadas para acercarnos a un gurú. Él no está capacitado para instruirnos sobre eso. Nos debemos acercar a un gurú para instruirnos sobre la ciencia espiritual, sobre la realización del ser, que se fundamenta en 3 aspectos fundamentales y principales, que son: ¿quién soy yo? ¿Quién es el Supremo? ¿Y cómo nos relacionamos con el Supremo? ¿Cuál es el sambandha o la relación con el Ser Supremo? Aquí sí es importante un maestro espiritual, porque nosotros no conocemos, no nos sabemos relacionar con el Ser Supremo, no sabemos quiénes somos, ni quién es el Supremo. Y necesitamos de un gurú que tenga realización directa en su corazón. Entonces Krishna en este verso nos da las 3 cualidades que debe tener un discípulo para acercarse al maestro espiritual, que es Pranipatema, Pariprasnena y Sevaya. Pranipatema, la primera aplicación, nos habla de acercarnos con humildad, porque si uno se acerca de una manera arrogante, lo más probable es que no haya beneficio real para esa alma. Y entonces, cuando el gurú ve la actitud correcta en el discípulo, él lo bendice. Pero cuando no ve la actitud correcta, allí no va a haber un intercambio de corazón a corazón. La segunda cualificación, Pariprasnena, es hacer las preguntas adecuadas. Preguntas que tengan que ver con el ¿Me están escuchando? Hola, Haribol. Haribol. ¿Se escucha?
Haribol, sí.
Perdón. Perdón. Si tú debes decir de la segunda calificación, perdón, porque no me estaban escuchando. Sri Guru debe ser versado con el conocimiento último, el conocimiento que nos lleva a la realidad última del alma. Entonces, debemos aprovechar ese conocimiento y hacerles preguntas que ayuden a nuestro beneficio y al beneficio de todas las almas que estén en la búsqueda de la realización del Éter. Y la tercera cualificación es Gaudiya. Si se dan las dos primeras, la tercera cualificación surge de manera natural, que es el servicio al maestro espiritual. Y lo servimos porque él es el medio transparente a través del cual el Supremo se manifiesta en nuestras vidas. La ciencia del Bhakti Yoga es la ciencia del servicio devocional. Y el servicio devocional son aquellas actividades favorables que sirven para satisfacer a la personalidad. El maestro espiritual nos va a entrenar en esta ciencia del servicio devocional, de cómo servir al Supremo, de una plataforma recta, teniendo una comprensión adecuada y teniendo una práctica consecuente con nuestra vida. Aquí, según Swami Maitri Vaisnava Maharaj, la interacción entre guru y discípulo puede verse como un intercambio de fe y como a través del incremento gradual del servicio, según las cualidades y el adhikar del discípulo, el discípulo comienza a vincularse con el guru de una manera más amistosa. Y menciona como eje de la relación entre guru y discípulo, por un lado el guru alimenta la fe y el discípulo practica seva y saranagati. Y así se cultiva el bhakti. Bueno, en esta cualificación, en este proceso de cualificación para ser buenos discípulos, es donde me encuentro. Y por eso quiero hablar hoy de esto y orar para conseguir o para que se manifieste el guru fidedigno, aunque siento que si uno muchas veces no tuvo guru genuino, es parte del aprendizaje, parte del aprendizaje y del desarrollo de las cualidades de un discípulo. Es una enseñanza de Krishna para que sigamos fortaleciendo nuestra fe y sepamos apreciar, sobre todo sepamos apreciar a los Vaisnavas. Así que todo esto es posible también por Sadhusanga. Así que agradezco muchísimo este espacio, que me hayan permitido decir estas palabras. Quiero hacer unas glorificaciones. Jai, Sri Guru Guranga, Ki Jai, Patita Pavani Ki Jai, Vaishnava Ki Jai, Panchakalpa Pariyasya Ki Sindhu Vyayavasya, Patitanam Panaviyo, Vaishnava. Gracias.
Thank you very much, Govinda Mohini. Govinda Mohini Dasi ki jai. Gornarayan, do you want to say some appreciation for Govinda Mohini?
Cut out partway through. I couldn't hear what the translator was saying, but for a certain part. But for most of it, I like just how fervently she was speaking about the need for the guru and the value of the guru. And it sounded like a lot of personal conviction there in what she was saying.
Thank you. Thank you. I also liked how, Govinda Mohini, how you had so nicely prepared for this lecture and chosen one verse that you brought out these three different aspects of how to approach the guru. It was very clear and very, very very, like Gaurnarayan Prabhu said, very filled with conviction. So it was beautiful to hear. Did I forget anybody else? How is it, Rasana?
Actually, I gave a little speech during the Nishimha Chaturdasi at our home. So I prepared some story about Prahlad Maharaj. So I did the lesson.
Very good. Very good. We are running out of time for today, but I'm very happy that you all really kind of took to this challenge. Govinda Mohini, Maharaha, Sakyarati, Radha Madhava, Gaurnarayan. It was beautiful to hear your realizations and to hear you share Harikatha with all of us. I was hoping this last session would be so beautiful as it was, so I'm very pleased with this. I also want to offer my sincere dandavats at the feet of all of the Vaishnavas here, to Maharaj, to Padmanabh Maharaj, and of course to our Guru Maharaj for engaging me in this service. I thought it was an interesting challenge to speak about how to speak, and then to engage you as well in it, in this mini lecture series. I'm very grateful to Padmanabh Maharaj for having forced me to do this. He didn't need to force me too much, but at least to have engaged me like this. I hope I was able to be of some service to all of you. And I hope that you will all continue attending these Tattva Viveka classes. There are so many nice classes. Yesterday we heard Guru Nishta's story on Archana Siddhi's interview series. And tomorrow there'll be a new lecture. Oh, no, there's still Shamananda, your last part is tomorrow, isn't it? Yes. And then, of course, on Sunday is Guru Maharaj. And then the lectures go on. And this is beautiful that we have a chance to hear something every single day, whether it is every single evening as here in Finland or another time of the day. So I hope that we will all keep meeting each other in this way, in this Tattva Viveka lecture series. So thank you all very much. Jai Vishnupad, Varangsa Paravrajacharya, Stotra Tashishiman, Bhakti Vedanta Tripurari Goswami Maharaj Gurudev ki Jai. Jai Nitya Pravishta Vishnupad, Bhai Charanar Vinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada ki Jai. Jai Nitya Pravishta Vishnupad, Bhakti Rakshak Sheta Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Jai Nitya Pravishta Vishnupad, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Thakur ki Jai. Jai Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj ki Jai. Jai Sachidananda Thakur Bhakti Vinod ki Jai. Jai Bhagavati Devi ki Jai. Jai Vaishnava Sarvam Ashla Jagannatha Das Babaji Maharaj ki Jai. Jai Gaudiya Vedanta Acharya Shla Barali Bidibhushan Prabhu ki Jai. Jai Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur ki Jai. Jai Srinivas Shamananda Narottam Ramachandra ki Jai. Jai Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Jai Vyasavata Shri Vrindavan Das Thakur Mahasaya ki Jai. Jai Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhattar Gunata Shri Jiva Gopala Bhattar Ashra Goswami Prabhu ki Jai. Jai Namacharya Shla Hari Das Thakur ki Jai. Jai Rai Ramananda Hari Gaur Parshta Vrinda ki Jai. Jai Prem Se Gaur Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Shri Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. Jai Shri Antardvip Mayapur Simantardvip Pandya Dvip Koladvip Retudvip Chanudvip Mandya Dvip Modara Dumadvip Godharmadvip Rudradvip Atmaka Shri Navadvip Dham ki Jai. Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopa Govardhana Dvadasha Vanatmaka Shri Vrindavan Dham ki Jai. Dvadasha Upavan ki Jai. Jai Shamkunda Radhakunda Ganga Yamuna Tulsi Bhakti Devi ki Jai. Jai Shri Purushottam Dham ki Jai. Jagad Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sudarshana ki Jai. Jai Bhakti Vigna Vinashana Karshin Shingade Bhagavan ki Jai. Jai Bhakta Varavara Prahlad Maharaj ki Jai. Char Vaishnava Sampradaya ki Jai. Char Vaishnava Acharya ki Jai. Char Dham ki Jai. Char Veda ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. Akara Mataraj Shri Chaitanya Mat ki Jai. Tariya Shakha Mastha Samuh ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Sangha ki Jai. अनंत गुद वैष्णव वृंद की जय। भुवन मंगल हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। समागत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल।
Sriman Bhrighupada Prabhu ki jai.
Jai. Thank you
Hari
so
bol.
much for this series and for everything. Thank you.
Thank you.